Hey kids! Welcome to our information literacy program. My name is Miss Geraldine Carreras, but you can call me Miss G for short. Our topic for today is about fiction and non-fiction. So, what is fiction? Here are some words to describe it. First is make-believe. Fiction is something that is make-believe. Make-believe means that it is only pretend and not real. It is something that does not exist in the real world. Next, imagination. A fiction book is based from the author's imagination. To imagine means to form a picture of something in one's mind and to create something out of it. Next, story. Fiction books contain stories. These can be short stories, which can be read in one sitting, or long stories or novels, which can be finished over days and weeks. Next is characters. Stories in fiction books include characters. Characters refers to people and creatures in the story. These characters are different in terms of appearance, traits, and skills. Characters are usually identified as good or bad. Next is setting. Stories in fiction books are also set in places and time periods known as the setting. The setting can be place or time from the past, the present, or the future. It can be imagined place and time, such a world full of magic and fantasy, or a setting based from real events or from history. Last is illustrations. Fiction books mostly contain illustrations. This refers to drawings, sketches, paintings, and other art forms created by illustrators for fiction books. Covers of fiction books have illustrations, which shows the kind of story it contains. Some books have full color illustrations, while others have simple black and white illustrations. These illustrations make the book story more visually appealing and interesting to readers. Now that you know what fiction is, let us look at some examples of fiction books. Some well-known fiction books for children are The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. Next is The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle and The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. These books have illustrations all throughout and are mainly used for storytelling. Fiction books for middle graders include The Diary of the Wimpy Kid series by Jeff Kinney and the Dogman series by Dav Pilkey. These books include some illustrations and feature characters that most kids can relate to. Other notable fiction books include Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. Next is the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling and The Little Prince by Anton de Saint-Exupéry, which are considered classic stories for young and old alike. We now proceed to nonfiction. What is nonfiction? First is real. Nonfiction books contain information which is based on what actually exists or happens in the world. Next is facts. A fact refers to a true piece of information. It is not fake, make-believe, or imaginary. Next, Information. Non-fiction books contain information. Information refers to knowledge about someone or something on various subjects. Subjects can range from well-known person, animals, places, events, and other topics of interest. Next is table of content. A text picture of nonfiction books is the table of contents. This part of a book outlines all the topics contained in a nonfiction book. It shows the topics and subtopics by chapter and helps the reader easily find the information from the book. Last is photos. Nonfiction books usually include photos or images related to the information it contains. It helps the reader to visualize what is being described or explained in nonfiction books. Examples of nonfiction books include Weird But True, which contains fun and interesting trivia about animals. Awesome Lego Ideas, a guide in constructing things from Lego blocks. Last is Space Robots, a book about satellites. Other samples of nonfiction books are You Can Draw, a guide to basic drawing. Next is Bible Heroes, which contains stories of some Bible characters. And The Travel Book, which includes quick facts about all countries in the world. Some more examples of nonfiction books are Super Grammar, an illustrated book on the parts of speech and punctuation. Music, Hit the Right Note, a book containing definitions on terms related to music. And next is Fractions, a reference book for children on mathematics. Now that you know what the difference between fiction and nonfiction is, let's have an activity. This activity is called Which is Which, Fiction or Nonfiction. So there are two book images that will be shown per slide, and you have to identify which between them is fiction or nonfiction. So are you ready? All right, so let's begin. Which is which? The first book is Polar Bear, What Do You Hear? And the second book is Polar Bears and the Arctic. Which is the nonfiction? Which is the fiction? Can you answer? The first book is fiction. And the second book is nonfiction. Very good. Which is which? The first book is Beagles. And the second book is Clifford the Big Red Dog. So which is the nonfiction and which is the fiction? Which is which? The first book is nonfiction. And the second book is fiction. Good job! Which is which? The first book is Dinosaur Encyclopedia, and the second book is How Do Dinosaurs Go to Sleep? Which is the fiction? Which is the non-fiction? Is it the first book or the second book? Let's answer. The first book is the non-fiction. The second book is fiction. Which is which? The first book is A Color of His Own, and the second book is Chameleon, Chameleon. Which is the fiction book and which is the non-fiction book? Let us answer. The first book is fiction, and the second book is non-fiction. Good job! Which is which? The first book is The Polar Express, and the second book is Trains. Which is the fiction? Which is the non-fiction? Can you answer? The first book is fiction, and the second book is nonfiction. Good job! So, this ends our discussion on fiction and nonfiction books. With this lesson, I hope that you gain more knowledge about these two book categories and to easily identify one from the other. So, thank you for listening, everyone. Again, my name is Miss G. Don't forget to like, share, comment below, and subscribe.